Regulatory Services is one of the departments that helps make sure that we have healthy places in our healthy buildings, healthy infrastructure across our city. These structures are, they're a hazard to North Minneapolis, to South Minneapolis, to neighborhoods all across our city. What we've had traditionally is a flat fine, and what that people can pay, and people have paid it. Some folks have been responsive. A lot of folks have been responsive in getting their buildings active. But as you can see with buildings like the one behind you, some folks just take the fee as the cost of doing business. And so we've taken some of our legislative authority to make sure that we can fairly and adequately increase those fees and hopefully create a pathway to getting these buildings back online, back active, back contributing to the communities that they exist in.
During my first term, my office fielded dozens of calls about properties in my ward that they described as a nuisance to the neighborhood. Some of those buildings have been empty for years, even for decades, and were dilapidated with no signal to the community of when they will be active again. Some of these properties were vacant homes and apartment buildings that residents were justifiably frustrated to see empty, especially knowing that we have a housing crisis. Other properties were commercial spaces where residents were eager to see these spaces be activated into storefronts for up-and-coming small business owners. Instead, though, we saw that these chronically vacant and hazardous properties were creating both public health and public safety issues for our neighborhoods, and also bringing down local property values and basically not contributing anything of value to the community in any way. These calls ultimately led to many conversations that my office would go on to have with both my co-author as well as city staff about how we could address these prolonged concerns about these vacant properties. And one of the solutions that this ordinance basically brings forward, and that has gotten unanimous support from my colleagues on council, is basically it addresses the time of vacant properties, the time that they spend in our vacant building registry program. So this ordinance essentially adds a time limit to the VBR program. And just a little context about what the VBR is, it's a registry of properties that are condemned, boarded, or hazardous. And when a property becomes hazardous or condemned, it is added to the VBR program. The owner is then charged a flat fee of about $7,000 a year. And in exchange for this fee, the city helps the property owner keep the property from basically property in order, essentially, by helping the property owner get the resources that they need to either sell the property, to rehabilitate it, or demolish the property altogether. The VBR program, since its creation, has helped provide many property owners with said resources to convert their hazardous vacant properties into active assets in our community. But still, as we learned from city staff, there's still hundreds of these properties that are boarded up and vacant and hurting our neighborhoods all across the city, and have been detrimental to the well-being of communities that are predominantly homes for Black and brown working class residents. So, right now there is no time amount or limit for which a property can stay in the VBR program. So we have had some properties stay in this program for decades. But with the passage of this ordinance, a property owner now has back into code with the option of a third year if they apply and can basically demonstrate that they are making progress to activate their properties again. And then after 2 or 3 years, the property will then be removed from the program, and then the city will start to enforce citations for the code violations, which could cost up to $24,000 per year. Creating a time limit for the VBR eligibility will help these chronic vacancies and support the city's overall efforts to increase more housing, to increase more commercial space, and essentially have fewer hazardous properties across our city.
Keep watching CBS News Minnesota for continuing coverage.